Good afternoon, everyone. It is 12 noon on Thursday, July 18th, 2024, and I would like to call this board meeting to order. First, I'll go ahead and start with a roll call. I will call each member's name and ask them to state their location and address, and also inform us if there is anyone from the board or public with them at that location. I'll go ahead and start. Gilda Dominguez, board chair. I am present. I am located at the Glendora location on 427 West Carroll Avenue, room 2, Glendora, California. And that zip code is 91741. And there is one other board member with me, Miss Karen Chang, and there are no members of the public with us at this location. Dr. Amy White.
Hi, Dr. White, and here at the Richard A. Pittman VA Clinic, the VA, Department of Veterans Affairs for Northern California Healthcare System in Stockton. And we're at 6505 South Manthe Road, 4th floor conference room 4A103 in French Camp, California, 95231. And I'm here with Dr. Charles Sanders, and there are no members of the public.
Thank you. Mr. Todd Borges.
Hi, this is Todd Borges. I'm here at Hearing Life Hearing Aid Center at 714 West Lodi Avenue in Lodi, California. And there are no members of the public here.
Thank you. Ms. Karen Chang.
Hi, this is Karen Chang. I'm here with Gilda Dominguez at Galeras Family Education Center. I can say the address.
You're okay. I think you're okay. Mr. John Danderand.
This is and I'm at Moore Park Public Library, 699 Moore Park Avenue, Moore Park, California, 93021, and there are no members of the public here.
Thank you. Dr. Charles Sanders.
Dr. Charles Sanders, and I am at the Richard A. Pittman VA Clinic in Stockton with Dr. White.
Thank you. It is noted that we do have a quorum, and I would like to ask the board staff to announce themselves as well.
Hi, this is Paul Sanchez. I'm the executive officer of the board, and I'm here with board staff, Sharice Burns and Maria Lorenzo. You want to identify yourselves?
Sure. Yvonne Durantes here with Board and Bureau Relations from DCA.
Dow Choi, Regulatory Counsel with DCA.
Yuping Lin, Board Counsel with DCA.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. I will move to agenda item number 2 regarding public comments for item not on the agenda. So I would like to ask if there is any public comment for items that are not on the agenda. At this time, I'd like to ask the moderator to open public comment.
Thank you. This is the moderator, and I've opened up the Q&A panel. If any member of the public would like to make a comment, you may either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. We are displaying instructions. And while we give you a moment, may I ask if there are any members of the public at the Sacramento location?
There are no members of the public at the Sacramento location.
Okay. And for the board members at the other locations, if you can just tell us if any members of the public have joined you. Otherwise, I'll just assume they haven't. And we do have attendee with his hand up. Greg Thornton, I'll give you the ability to unmute in just a moment. You'll have 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning. And Greg Thornton, you should be able to unmute yourself. All right, Greg, I'll give you one more chance. Maybe you raised your hand in error. Okay, I think he raised, oh, it's back up. So Greg, you should be able to unmute yourself. Go ahead, and when you see the prompt, you just have to click and unmute yourself. There you go. You're unmuted, Greg.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Greg Thornton. I'm the executive director of the Ohio Speech and Hearing Professionals Board, joining you from Columbus, Ohio. And I just wanted to say that I was joining you to observe and to just say thank you, those of you who do the same work we do in Ohio. And we have lots of Ohio licensees in California, and it's just good to be here to observe. Thank you.
All right. This is a moderator. I see no further requests for comments. So, Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those comments. I'd like to move to agenda item 3, the discussion and possible action to review, consider, and approve amended regulations regarding continuing professional development requirements for speech language pathologists and audiologists, as stated in Title 16, CCR sections 1399.160 through 1399.160.4, to ensure the proposed amendments didn't contain a mathematical miscalculation and are consistent with the board's intent to modify certain hours related to continuing education requirements that were previously approved by the board. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Lorenzo to present this agenda item.
Thank you, Ms. Dominguez. This proposed regulatory change will clarify definitions to reflect advancement made to continuing professional development courses delivered online, increase the number of self-study hours to half of the total required hours, remove limitations to the number of courses that can be obtained from courses that are related to the practice of SLP and audiology, increase the number of hours that can be obtained from indirect patient-client care courses to 25%, permit other opportunities to fulfill CPD requirements, and clarify current regulations by making CPD requirements consistent with the board's CPD audit process and professional learning requirements for similar license types and course content. In May, the board issued a 15-day notice to modify the text and allow the public to comment on. We did not hold a public hearing, nor was one requested. We received 240 comments during the 15-day comment period and 53 comments after the comment period for a total of 293. All 293 comments were not related to the proposed modified text. And so board staff does not recommend any additional changes to the text. Included in the material is the summary of comments with draft board response for board review and approval. Also included is the order of adoption. While preparing the package for submission, board staff realized there was some confusion at the board's meeting on December 1st, 2023, regarding the current and proposed limitation on the number of hours allowed to be from courses on indirect patient-client care. At this meeting, the proposed change was to change the current 17% limitation to a 25% limitation, which was noticed for public comment on December 8th. During the board discussion, there was discussion, the discussions were based on fractions. So there was a lot of confusion. I think when it came to discussing this item, there was a mention of 1/3 or 33%. So we just wanted to have board kind of have a discussion and confirm that what was presented as the modified text is what the board intended. Like I said earlier, the proposed change will change the limitation for courses on indirect patient-client care from 17% to 25%. And that concludes my report. I believe Charisse wanted to talk more on this item.
So just as part of an informational piece and educational piece to the public, the board wanted to note we did receive 293 comments that are all related to proposed amendments that weren't part of the most recent public notice. So we want to talk a little bit about the fact that unlike legislation, when we do regulations, When the board proposes changes and goes out for a public comment period, we then address those comments that relate to those proposed changes in that notice. And then once the board has discussed those, such as the limit to how much self-study is allowed, the board has already discussed and resolved those comments and made its decision. Then the next time the text goes out to notice, the comments that are related to those proposed changes is what the board is considering. This time, the board did in the last part of every time we have a regulation package, we're going to finalize and create a final statement of reasons, at which point we review all of the previous materials, make sure we've addressed all the public comments, we review the meeting minutes and such. And in that review is when we discovered the kind of little bit of confusion when we were mathing in public, unfortunately using fractions. And so we'll stick to percentages from now on to make it easier for everybody. But we just wanted to make for certain so that the Office of Administrative Law didn't have a problem where there's a discussion of a third versus a quarter and which one did the board want to go with. What was in the language in that board meeting noticed meeting materials was the increase from 17% to 25%. And while we were talking, there was confusion about which one's going up versus down. So the board approved the 25%. We just want to make double certain and have the board approve it so that it's very clear for the Office of Administrative Law and for the final record that that was what the board had intended. So just that little bit of background, wanted to provide that so everyone understands the process and how some regulations are different than legislation. So just wanted to give that refresher before the board discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion that the office staff would like to add before I open it up for board discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to open for board discussion. Is there any board discussion regarding this agenda item that anyone would like to present? All right, hearing none, I'd like to ask for a motion on this agenda item and a second. There is suggested motion language that can be referenced on page 202 of agenda item 3. So I would like to ask for a motion and a second.
I can do the motion, Charles Sanders. I move to approve the proposed regulatory text and board's responses to comments on the proposed regulatory text for Title 16, CCR sections 1399.160 through 1399.60.4, and direct staff to take all steps necessary to complete rulemaking process, including the filing of the final rulemaking package to the Office of Administrative Law. Authorize the executive officer to make any non-substantive changes to the proposed regulations before completing the rulemaking process and adopt the proposed regulations of Title 16 CCR sections 1399.160 through 1399.160.4 as noticed.
And this is Dr. White. I'll second.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask the moderator to open public comment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If any member of the public would like to comment on agenda item 3, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. As before, we have instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is a moderator and I'm seeing no requests for comment at this time. Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public at the board office.
Chair Dominguez,
Yes,
we
yes.
see a late hand up for public comment, and
Okay,
we just
thank
want
you.
to make sure we honor that.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank
Moderator,
you.
I'd like you to open that up.
Thank you so much. So we have Andrea Ball, and Andrea, you should be able to unmute yourself. If you see a prompt, go ahead and there you go. You're unmuted.
I'm here on behalf of the California Speech Language Hearing Association. Just a general comment to thank you for moving forward on this package. I think clarifying the requirements around the continuing education will be helpful to the field. The association looks forward to working with staff to help get the word out to educate the field about what the final regs and requirements are going to be. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the comment. I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public for public comment at the Lodi location.
This is Todd. There are no public members here.
Okay, I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public for public comment at the Moore Park location.
There are no public members here.
Thank you. I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public for public comment at the French Camp location.
There are no members of the public present.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask if there are any members of the public at the board office at the Sacramento location.
There are no members of the public at the Sacramento location.
Thank you. And there are no members of the public here at the Glendora location. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Burns to conduct the roll call vote.
Hilda Dominguez.
Aye.
Amy White.
Aye.
Todd Borges.
Aye.
Karen Chang.
Aye.
John Danduran.
Aye.
Charles Sanders.
Aye.
And the motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to move to agenda item 4 regarding future agenda items. I'd like to ask the board members and staff if there are any future agenda items that you would like to propose for a future meeting.
Board staff do not currently have any items for future agenda meetings.
Thank you. Any other board members? Are there any items that you would like to propose for a future meeting? Thank you. Hearing none, I'd like to ask the moderator to open public comment at this time regarding this agenda item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If any member of the public would like to comment on future agenda items, please either raise your hand or type comment using the field in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We are displaying instructions and we'll give you a moment. All right, this is the moderator. I'm seeing no request for comment. Madam Chair, I return the floor back to you.
Thank you. So at this time, I am notifying the board, the staff, and the public that this is the end of the meeting, and we will be adjourning this meeting right now at 12:19 p.m. Thank you.